Hi guys, this is me again, attorney Marina Shepelsky, immigration attorney, and today I want to talk about some good news. So you know, if you've been watching my videos, that I love talking about especially good news, but we get at our firm our own good news. Our law office has every day something happening, and a lot of times we get approval notices, work permits, and good news in our private life, so to say, in our firm's life. And today I want to talk about one such case. So this is a case of a gentleman that came here from Russia in 2015. It's a man. He was working in some sort of a financial position in a bank, actually. He decided to, give America his best, to try his luck here, and to see if he can legalize here eventually. So he was working, doing his thing for a couple of years, obviously without any papers. He didn't file for anything. He was an overstay, or I guess some people would call him illegal, but I don't like the word illegal. He was undocumented. He came with a tourist visa and he stayed over and never went back home. He met a girl, a Russian-speaking girl who grew up here. She was an American citizen for many years, and actually her Russian was already pretty bad because she was, even though she was an immigrant, she grew up here in America. So they began dating. She introduced him to her family, and at first everything was very nice, and they decided to get married. They rented an apartment together in Brooklyn, and she moved in. And she filed for him for a green card and the family petition. They did it on their own, even without a lawyer. They did everything themselves, and he was waiting for his work authorization when he started to notice strange behavior from her. He started to notice that she comes home late without bothering to explain where she went. He started noticing that she smells like alcohol, so she was drinking, not just when they were going out somewhere to a restaurant or something like that together, or to dinner, but just going out drinking with her friends. And he didn't know if it was guy friends or women friends or both, but she told him that it's none of his business, and that it's her life and she doesn't have to explain anything to him, and that he better not make any noise or complain because she's gonna get him deported really quickly. So that was the beginning of the end for them. She basically began abusing him, mistreating him, calling him drunk. Then he noticed she began using some sort of drugs. He smelled on her marijuana, but then he thought she was using other things too. Since he wasn't knowledgeable, he didn't know about drugs. He didn't know, the kinds of things that she wanted to do. And she didn't do this in front of him because she knew he disapproved. Then he noticed that some man was calling her on the phone early, late, at all times. She would sometimes step out in the hallway of their apartment to talk to some guy. And one day he was coming from work. He saw her in a park talking to some man, and they were kissing and hugging. And it was obvious that this is not somebody she just met. It was obvious that this man, that his wife, was cheating on him. So he actually confronted her. He started to talk to her saying, "What the heck is going on? How can you do this to me?" She cursed him out. She said that she's going to deport him. He can't leave her, and that, she can do what she wants and all this stuff. And it became obvious that she was coming unhinged. Something was going on with her. Maybe she had some sort of mental illness, but my client wasn't a doctor, so he didn't know. When he came to talk to me, he said, "I'm thinking about filing for an abuse petition, but I know I'm a man. Am I even allowed to do this? I'm afraid to go to the police. I'm afraid to do any family court orders of protection or any criminal court orders of protection or anything like that, because if I start making trouble, she's definitely going to get me arrested since I'm the man." He thought that because he was the man, he was going to be the one arrested if the police come. "I'm really afraid of her." And I explained to him that to file for Vawa, you have to prove that this is a real marriage. So we need paperwork like tax returns. And they had all this. A lease for the apartment, bills in 2 names. They had everything. Plus, you need to show abuse. Now, you don't need the police report to show abuse. if you have medical records, if you go to a psychologist, if you have witnesses to say they saw how she was treating you, maybe you complained to a friend of yours, maybe something happened and you shared with someone you know, your relatives, even your parents in Russia, and your brother, if you ever spoke to your brother and his family about this, they can write you witness letters. So he said, I don't know, I'm worried, and he left my office. Well, what happened in the next week, he was thinking about hiring us. The next week they had an argument again, and she took a hot pan from the stove. She was cooking something, and she actually hit him with the pan and burned his arm really bad. And so he called me and he said, what do I do? He was really desperate. I said, you need to go to the hospital. You need to go to the emergency room, and you need to document how you got this injury. Don't be afraid. They're not going to deport you just because you go to the hospital, even though you don't have any paperwork. They have to medically help you. So he went to the hospital and he documented this. And then he called her and she said to him, if you come home, I will kill you. I will get my boyfriend to come and kill you. I've had enough of you. You're always complaining. You're always unhappy. I don't want to be with you anymore. Get the F out of here. You effing this. I'm not going to your interview. And he again called me desperate. And I said, well, listen, you need to move out. You need to have a place to go. And he says, well, I don't have a place to go. What do I do? And I suggested to him that you can go, if you really have no friends and you don't have anybody to stay with, maybe you can find like a homeless shelter or some charity organization that's going to give you temporary housing for now. And then we'll figure it out. And we should file for you so you stop being worried about your immigration case, and she cannot blackmail you with this immigration case. So he actually called a couple of people, and then he decided he was too ashamed to go stay with anyone. And he just went to Manhattan and stayed at a homeless shelter for the night. They actually gave him a free psychologist. They referred him to an organization that helps men with counseling. Men also can be victims of domestic violence. And they gave him some, good resources to get his own place. And the next morning he went home, even though he was worried that she will kill him or do something. But when he came, she was gone. She took everything. She took his computer. She took everything that he ever gave her, the jewelry. She cleaned out their bank account and she left. The house was a mess. She threw things around. She made a crazy mess at the apartment, but she was gone. So he changed the locks and we filed for the Vawa petition. It took about 1.5 years to collect all the evidence, send it to them, his counseling records, the joint documents to show that he never was arrested. We did police clearances, and we won his Vawa. So it took about 2 years to get the Vawa petition approved from the time of filing. Since he already had filed for a green card with his wife, we used the I-485, the green card application. We froze it. We transferred the basis from the family petition by the wife to the Vawa. So as soon as Vawa was approved, we let them know you can now interview and process this case. Then COVID hit, so another 1.5 years passed. He actually didn't hear anything from them. That we made an InfoPass appointment for him, which is a customer service appointment. And we went with him to USCIS as soon as they were able to do it again. And when he went, they asked for his updated medical. So he gave them a medical exam to show he doesn't have any big, tuberculosis or those communicable diseases. And without even an interview, he received his green card this week at our office. So he didn't even have to go to an interview since he had no criminal records. His Vawa was approved. They checked everything checked out in his background. He proved he was abused by providing his psychiatrist and psychologist records, the emergency room records, the witness letters, all of that. He didn't have police reports. He didn't have orders of protection, but he had everything else and he won. And now he has a 10-year green card. And because he has a 10-year green card that he got based on being a victim of abuse, he's eligible to get his U.S. citizenship after a fast 3 years, expedite. Normally, if people get their green card through asylum or work visa or something like that, they have to wait 5 years for citizenship, but for him, it's only 3 years. So he's very happy the whole time that he was waiting. He was able to travel. He had an advanced parole and a work permit. So this green card was welcome news, great news, but he already, was waiting for a while. So he had all of his stuff organized. He was working legally and he has a great job and he's got his license. He's legal. He's making good money in this country. His American dream came true with our help, and I'm very happy. I'm so happy. I love helping people, and it's funny because when he walked into our office 3.5 years ago, he looked like a completely different person than what he looks like now. So this was just one scenario, one case that we recently handled, and it's one of my favorites because this person had such a terrible thing happen to him with his wife, but it came out, everything ended really well. So if you want to get your paperwork in a similar fashion, if you're being abused, if you're living with a US citizen or green card holder and they're your enemy, I call it living with your enemy, give us a call. We can get you a work permit, an advanced parole, and a green card. You have to understand it's going to take a couple of years, but you will be fine. We can get you all of that and legalize you and get you on the pathway to US citizenship.